Hello and welcome to another episode of Scorecard here on Citi TV. My name is Benjamin Nketiah, and a big shout out to everybody who has made time to watch us today around the country and also around the continent. Shout outs to our people from Sierra Leone, from Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, and wherever you are getting to us from. Down here in Ghana, Accra Hearts of Oak scored just their second goal of the season. Yes, you heard me right. Just their second goal of the season. They have held crisis meetings over their non-performance and what's not. They started the game week in the relegation zone, and so you can understand why they'll be holding crisis meetings. In England, it was the Manchester derby that was at center stage, and it was Manchester City completely having their way with their City rivals. They had their way with them, really. Coach Christopher Nimley these days apparently can't be bothered because it's on the other side. We'll see how unbothered he is on the show because he'll share his thoughts on that game with us. Liverpool cruised to an easy win against Forest, and then in Arsenal's own game, it was the Dean Ketia show. He was doing his own thing there, scoring screamers and what's not. So much for a striker who's been doubted. In Spain, it was El Clásico. The man, the myth, the legend, Jude Bellingham. It's 13 games and 13 goals to his name, and we are not even halfway through the season. So it's a lot to talk about on the show today. It's a lot to chew on. Do send in your tweets. You can tweet at me at Kojo Nketiah. Use the hashtag Scorecard. You can also get to me via text, WhatsApp, and Telegram. The WhatsApp numbers will be displayed on your screen. Let's just take a quick turn around. When we come back, I'll introduce my gentleman, and then we'll get talking. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. My good friend is here, looking very sharp tonight. Coach Christopher Nimley.
I'm a free and a happy man.
I didn't think that people who have abandoned their long lost or their long beloved teams would be looking this springly.
No, you see, in life, if you see death ahead of you and you cannot do anything about it, you die a stupid death. I don't want to die a stupid death.
Are you kidding me right now?
I'm telling you, look at me, I'm free.
Are you trying to tell me that there is no light at the end of the tunnel for Man United?
Any team, if this team is going to get better,
yeah,
the Glaciers will have to sell the team to Atani. Anything apart from that is disaster galore.
I can't believe this. Edwin, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good. This weekend has been tough for obvious reasons, but we'll get through it.
We'll get through it indeed. Like I said, Accra Hearts of Oak, they have scored just their second goal of the season. They were involved in the Ghana Premier League. Asante Kotoko, their arch rivals, also cannot win games. It's been a struggle for two of Ghana's juggernauts as far as this year's Ghana Premier League campaign is concerned. So we'll get to that game between Accra Hearts of Oak and Gold Stars, and then Asante Kotoko and Bechem United. So back-to-back highlights of those two games. So that game between Accra Hearts of Oak and Gold Stars, very interesting. That's at the 85th minute, it was goalless. And then by the 91st minute, it was 1-1. Very interesting game.
Wow. First of all, let me address the first goal that Hearts of Oak scored. No debate about that. That was an offside goal.
Yeah.
And in fact, that incident held up the game for close to 10 minutes. And that was very bad. But you don't blame the people at Hearts of Oak. There's no genuine quality camera coverage to actually show everybody that it's offside. If it was in Europe, the game would have been stopped. VAR would have looked at it, and we all would have seen the decision and would have moved on from there. But I haven't said that. Look, the pitch again, it's not making our game look nice.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing to talk about in terms of the approach.
Yeah.
Tactically, the quality of the footage. It's not allowing you to see any proper tactical movement. How do you analyze that?
Let me tell you something that broke my heart recently, right? I was in the UK just recently, and one of the rides, I was with Samens and we were just talking. In about a 15-minute stretch.
That's right.
We had driven by close to 6 public parks and about 5 football pitches for the public.
That's right.
Now, Rahman Osman tells me that these are pitches for Sunday Stars and Monday Stars. Coach, these pitches are better than our Premier League pitches.
All day.
No, I'm not playing. No.
All day.
These Sunday Stars pitches are better than our Premier
All
League
day.
pitches. And I'm not talking about, these are not for commercial gain. No.
These are
These
just
are
for
just
people
there
to
for
go
you
and
and your
keep fit.
friends
To keep fit.
to go and keep fit. Properly kept grass, properly marked
People are
pitches.
paid to take care of that.
It's just and you understand why the Premier League is where it is, because
Exactly.
even at the English third tier, fourth tier,
The pitches
even
are good.
at the amateur level,
The pitches are good.
How?
You saw in the video, we saw the Hearts of Oak striker.
yeah,
He tended to play a shot. Look, you can add about 10 goal posts
And he
like
was-
that,
and
it
it
will
was-
stay goal by the back. And I was telling Edwin, you don't
Yeah.
blame the player.
Yeah.
It's clearly the
yeah,
pitch.
the pitch is bumpy.
The pitch is so bumpy, very bad. How do you analyze that?
I
it is that
I
poor.
think there needs to be a stricter,
it is that poor.
a stricter approach to club licensing.
No,
so,
look,
for instance,
all the people there are jokers.
no, I've always said this. Look, if it means that, let's say, for instance, in the Western Zone, they will all share one
One
stadium.
or two.
That's
So be it.
that's how it should be, because
So be it.
I mean, if anybody who is looking to put his money in the game looks at a pitch like this,
What is so attractive
an environment
about this?
they won't even want to bring their cameras in there
I mean, we're
because
selling this to the
They
world.
tried to do that at the
Scorecard.
start of the season, where
Yeah.
they banned some pitches, prevent them from being played at
Yeah.
for a few weeks, and then later on in the season, maybe 2 weeks into the season,
they give them a
they
review,
reverse it,
and
and
then
then everybody.
Look, this
is
program
back
is
to the
global.
same.
The people in Sierra Leone, in South Africa, Kenya, everywhere in the world, they are watching the program. How do you feel if they are watching this as the Ghana Premier
Yeah.
League pitches? It's bad. So as for the Hearts of Oak thing, look, they've got serious issues. The earlier they address that, the better. The football is bad, the management is bad, the board is bad, everything about Hearts of Oak is bad. That is why they are, look, they'll get relegated. I'm telling you.
You remember they flirted with relegation, I think
Last season.
Last
season.
season.
They will get relegated because there's nothing positive about this team. The way they are playing their football, the lack of confidence, everything is there for you. This is a relegation bound. You see, when you are relegation bound, whether I like it or not, you get relegated. That is what House of Oak has
Scored 2
become.
goals in 6
Six
matches.
games. So they stay they say
Yeah, consider the goal today.
Yeah, -1. They stay a goal. Then you deserve to get relegated. Let's talk about the Kotoko one.
Asante Kotoko, yeah.
Yeah, I think the people of Ashanti should be a bit patient with Prosper Ogo. I think he will get them to come good. It may not be this season, but I think that if what I'm seeing them do, the sort of football they are playing, it's just that he stays struggling to get them to understand the importance of keeping clean sheets on a consistent basis. At what point do we respect that we have a lead? So we should change our style of play to make sure we protect our lead if we are not going to add on to it. If you look at the Bechim goal, having scored such a beautiful goal,
Yeah.
the Kotoko player's goal was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
If you look at the goal Bechim scored, there were 2 Kotoko players on the touch line that the Bechim winger went past by just nicking the ball past them, And I was asking myself, if you are a lateral defender and you allow a winger to go past you in that manner, then you don't have any business being on the pitch. I've always said that, look, if I'm a defender, I will always want to play as a lateral fullback or as a fullback. Simply because my attacking player has got no advantage over me. Every advantage on the touchline is to the defender, because the one in charge of the ball cannot go or navigate at 360 degrees. The highest or the maximum navigation he can do is 180. I am there to defend. I can clear the ball to throw. I can make sure he doesn't go past me, pass it and be free. But if you allow him to go past the first person, second person, or on the touchline, and the cross, absolutely delicious. Look at the header.
Yeah.
Augustine Okra,
Yeah.
the Kotoko defender, the one, you see, Augustine Okra was in between, if only we could see that clip again. He was in between the 2 Kotoko defenders. And once the cross bypassed the first one, you argue that he was on the blind side of the first centre back. But the other centre back
Should have been closing him down.
You could clearly see that he was the only more or less a focal point in the box. He's the only person the cross was going to go
Maybe
to.
he was thinking the first guy would deal with the cross.
No, but you don't think like that. In football, you need to be proactive because as a defender, if you're not proactive, the ball is closer to your goal. Eventually, if you're not proactive, you pay the price and the entire team will suffer as a result of that. But look, Augustine Okra again showed that he's one of those players, maybe he shouldn't travel outside Ghana again. He should stay in the league. Because anytime he comes to our league, he brings something special.
Yeah.
The placement of the header was what I saw Pep Guardiola
That's top level
teach
stuff. That's top
Erling
level stuff.
Haaland today. When Onana made that face, he would come to the second Pep was standing there, come and return it back to where it came from. All Augustine Okra needed to do was to return the ball back to where it came from. Perfect height.
Yeah.
A lot more power generated in the header. Bang into the back of the net. Good goal by Austin. In the Kotoko game, we saw 2 brilliant goals.
Yeah.
In fact, proper world-class goals.
Let's have the role of the Kotoko game again. But Edwin, your thoughts on Prosper Nato? Coach says he might need more than 1 season to get things going. I don't know if Kotoko are that patient. They are never that patient for anybody. They will switch coaches next season if they have to, maybe even mid-season if they have to. I mean, are you also seeing signs that says that this project will blossom?
Look, Kotoko can't afford not to be patient with Prosper Ogum. The first time they tried to let him go, it didn't work out well. They've ended right back where they started with him in charge. So the least you can do is give him at least 1 season to get the team back on track. And then you expect more from him because you know exactly what he can do with the team. He's won the league before. So you know he's been very successful with your team. So the least you can do is give him some time to rebuild the squad, get them winning games, get them playing some nice football, and then you expect more from him. So far this season, I said earlier this season that I wasn't seeing the good football from Kotoko, but I think in recent weeks they've started to impress me a lot with how they are passing the ball, how they move in phases, in the phases of the game. They don't go all out attack. There are moments where they decide to sit back, allow the team to come and then counter them. I'm seeing a lot more varied play from them this season. One thing that still worries me is the results. They're not coming. So far, they've lost only 1 game this season. But then they've drawn 4. And I think three draws is worse than 2 losses because it's worse than 2 losses because you drop the same number of points. Your team is not playing well. You are struggling to score goals. You are conceding on a regular basis. So the results still worry me a bit, and I think that needs to improve if Kotoko are to have a say in this league season. I still feel they have one of the stronger teams in the league. If they start picking up the results, start scoring a lot more goals, they'll get there. But from what we saw, I completely agree with Coach. Very good goals so far this season. Very good goals in this game. Only needs some more improvements in their play.
I think these are the things that frustrates the Asante Kotoko faithful, because if you look at the quality of that goal scored, you ask yourself, why aren't we doing this on a more frequent basis? Why are we not scoring a lot more of these goals, winning a lot more games? And the longer the draws continue to pile up, the more the frustration breaks out. We saw a little bit of that at the Kwame Chase Sports Stadium. It was completely despicable and must be condemned. Asante Kotoko need to tell their fans that in football, you do not go to games upset. You want to quit the game. You want to end the game abruptly. It is not in your power to end games abruptly, regardless of how upset you are. But let's get on to the Premier League and let's get to some games that happened over the weekend. It's match week 10 already. The game week started with Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, they are flying high, top of the table still. They were up against Crystal Palace. They managed to win this game by 2-1. Let's get to the highlights of that one. So Jordan, are you getting on the score sheet there? We'll have a reel of that game again as we discuss, just for you to enjoy those goals once again. Beautiful stuff happening. Let me start to you, Edwin, on this one. And let's talk about Spurs and what they are doing. They played on Friday night. They didn't let the pressure get to them. Cooley got the job done. And their danger men are getting goals again. So people say, our people are still waiting for the wheels to fall off. The wheels are not falling off.
They aren't, but The thing I'm most impressed with Spurs about is they find different ways to win. There have been games where they've not played very well, but they still managed to get a win. There have been games where they've gone behind against tough sides like Arsenal, but they still found ways to pick up a result, a point at least. And in this game against Crystal Palace, they went at their very best. I've seen Spurs play much better than this. In this game against Arsenal, against Crystal Palace, they had a lot of possession, of course, over 70% of possession. But Crystal Palace actually had more shots on goal, had more shots on target. In fact, Spurs had only one shot on target the whole game. The first goal, of course, was an own goal. Second goal was from Son, and that was it. Those were the only shot. That's what only shot they had on target. But the impressive thing was that they kept playing.
This was an away game for them.
Away game for them. The players kept moving into the right positions. We saw the move from James Maddison to get into space. Second goal, we saw the move from Brennan Johnson to get into space. And that's what's helped them a lot this season. A lot of their signings have come in, just fit right into the team. Seem like they've been with the team for years. James Maddison was involved in both goals. Throughout the season, he's been one of Spurs' star performers, and he stepped up big time for them. Of course, I've said this a lot of times, he's allowed Son to get himself into this game. Son did not play very well in this game. But once you have a player like Maddison, once you have Brennan Johnson, once your midfield is ticking, Son can easily integrate his game over the course of 90 minutes, and he eventually got his goal. And I think that's what's going to be important for Spurs. There are games where you have to bide your time. There are games where you have to suffer, as Antonio Conte has said recently. But in those games, you still find Spurs playing well. You still find them trying to pass out from the back. You still find them one-touch passes. You still find them trying to reach out to the fullbacks and constantly attacking. It might not have been at its best, 100% best against Crystal Palace, but the most important thing was that they got the 3 points, and that's what matters right now. Once they keep getting the results, once they keep picking up the wins, they get into good positions. Eventually, you might have to start thinking about Spurs winning the league. In fact, there have been 12 teams that have got 26 points after 10 games before this season. And 6 of those teams have gone on to win the league. Only one of those teams has actually fallen outside the top 3. So it says a lot for Spurs that at this stage of the season, they are in such a position. They are on course to win the league, on course at least to make the top 4. All they need to do is keep up the consistent run and make sure that none of the players loses.
They've played a few of their difficult games already as well. Played Arsenal, played Liverpool.
Played United.
Played United as well.
All they need to do is ensure that they keep a healthy squad, because that's my biggest fear with Spurs. If Son gets injured for a couple of months, if James Maddison gets injured for a couple of months, which players are they going to say are going to fit in? Do they have any strikers who can get them 15 goals a season? Richarlison is not that guy. Brennan Johnson is not there yet. And that's my only worry for Spurs. But currently, Ange Postecoglou is doing a fantastic job with Spurs, and I can't wait to see more of them this season.
Let's take a break here on Scorecard. When we come back, I'll get coach's thoughts on that Spurs game, on James Maddison as well. How pivotal is he to this Spurs side? He's been their best player this season, debatably. Son will have something to say about that, but he's been injury prone in the past. If he stays fit, where does he rank amongst the Premier League's best players? Let's take a quick break here. A lot to talk about on Scorecard. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. My name is Benjamin Nketiah. Coach Christopher Nimley and Edwin Kwakofi are in the studio with me. Coach, let's talk about Spurs and their prospects. Like Edwin mentioned, they are in a very good position as things stand now. It could only get probably as worse as maybe fourth as things stand now. But how pivotal is Maddison? What have you liked about him since he joined? And where does he rank for you amongst the league's best players?
I think before I address how pivotal he is, I want to look at those guys who's actually made him better.
Fair.
I want to look at Bissouma and his African brother, Sa. I think that without these two, he will be asked to do a little bit too more. with the two guys behind him, because they are playing the very simple system. He's been given the license to go everywhere he wants to go, because he knows that when the ball gets to him and he loses it, these two guys are very adept to winning the ball off the opponent very quickly and then give it back to him. So they are the foundation upon which he's climbing or stepping higher stones. I think with him, when the ball gets to him, technically, he is that good. He can pass the ball. He can take risk, hold on to the ball, wait, and then go. That is what you call proper composure. He is that composed. I think Leicester City got relegated because they couldn't keep him fit. I believe that if he had stayed fit for majority of their games, they would have survived the Premiership last season. But having said that, if you look at him, what has he brought to this team? I think the absence of Harry Kane has given him some responsibility.
Okay.
And that credit must be given to the manager for that. I'm sure Postecoglou, when he was coming, he never anticipated coaching this team without Harry Kane. But the moment it became that clear that Kane will go, I'm very certain, like every good coach will do, you call the entire playing body and get them to understand that, look, by far, he's the top goal scorer in the team. For the fact that he's going, every attacking player in this team will have to take up extra responsibility. What were those responsibilities? Be able to take up goal scoring responsibility. So if you look at the Spurs team, Kulusevski, he scored more than 3 goals already in the season. Song is their leading goal scorer. Madison is scoring. Richarlison haven't done that badly at all. I think last 2-3 games, he scored some 2 goals in and around there. Even from midfield, the young man, Sarr, he scored against United. He scored, I've forgotten, he scored again. And even the defenders, they've all chipped in.
They're getting in.
Romero and then the Dutch boy, they've all chipped in a bit. Poro, the right back, they've all scored. So if you have a team playing at this level, with everybody believing in the system, the pivotal players in the system begins to do extra or begins to do even more better. And I think that if you take away Madison from this Spurs team, they will struggle because they don't have any player like him.
Good.
Kane's departure have compelled this manager to play Son Heung-min through the middle. When Kane was there, Son Heung-min was most often involved in the build-up because he knew that there was a better goal scorer ahead of them. He get involved, let's get it, he puts it away. Edwin spoke about the fact that Son technically is not playing that well. But because he's always now at the end of the move, if you're a manager, you don't take him out. You keep him there because if you look at all the front guys, he's the best goal scorer in the team. Richarlison, we all thought would be because if you are the number 9 for Brazil, that alone brings some form of clout around you to be able to put the ball in the back. But he's not done that. So look, without Madison, Spurs will struggle. You ask where do I rate him in terms of, I think he's done so well so far. It is still too early. There are 38 games to be played. We've played only 10.
Yeah.
I think we're left with
long ways to go.
More. So that should tell you that going forward, if he can still fit, like Edwin said, keep him fit because he's got a very bad injury record.
Yeah.
If he can stay fit, I think if they can get close to 30 games out of him, not even 30.
That would be elite.
30 games from him this season, automatically they are in the Champions League next season because he will create chances upon chances.
Can score from dead balls as well.
From dead ball, he's a good deliverer into the balls on set pieces. He will create. All they need to do, keep him fit, and then you benefit as a unit. But look, Nketia, Postecoglou, nobody believed in him.
Yeah. So people ask yourself,
what was his record?
Australian manager?
Australian who's moved to Celtic. We all know the level of the Scottish league. A bit downside.
Nobody ever puts you on a pedestal where you have that kind of history.
So many managers turned down the Spurs job. So many.
That's a good thing to point out. This was a job
So many.
nobody wanted.
No top manager wanted.
Yep.
Luis Enrique said no. Nagelsmann said no.
Yep.
At some point in time, I forgot him, but there was another manager who said no.
Yeah, lots of good
Good
big
managers.
Yeah.
And he was more or less the last choice.
Yep. Yep.
I'm very sure that when Daniel Levy was told, let's look at Postecoglou. Who is this? Where from he? Where is he coming from? Australian coaching where?
Yeah.
In the Scotland. We are talking about the EPL. But Levy would have sat back and said, look, I'm happy I gave him the job. He's gotten everybody to believe. And the beauty of that game, they are playing attacking football.
You should hear Madison talk about Postecoglou. He
Yes.
says he laid the marker the very first day he stepped into training. He says, if you are lazy, you will not survive in this team.
He needed to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the players themselves were not rating him.
Yes.
It wasn't a Pep Guardiola coming.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Mourinho coming.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Mauricio Pochettino or a Thomas Tuchel or Nagelsmann. Or look, the Spanish guy who's Luis Enrique.
Yeah.
He was not the type.
Nope.
We're from him. So he needed to do that.
Yeah.
Whether you like me or not, whether you rate me or not, I've been given the job. You do things my way, or you are out.
He's a very imposing figure as well. It helps that he has a big beard, big guy. You know, you put the fear in you. Let's get to that game. Chelsea played with Brentford, and it was supposed to be Chelsea continuing some of the good things that they had been doing in recent weeks. Brentford themselves had not played too well recently, but they found inspiration, went to the bridge, and did the unthinkable. Let's get to the highlights of that one. So a very interesting game there. Brian Mbeumo gets in the goal in there for Brentford to cap off a good performance. 2 goals, clean sheets, clean job at the bridge. Let me start to you, Edwin. Pochettino must be frustrated. I counted at least 3 good chances where Chelsea could have put away in that first half, put this game to bed, and the outcome would have been having a different conversation by now.
Look, it's the story of the season for Chelsea, isn't it? Every time you get chances, they fail to take them, and then the other team scores, and we start the conversation back again. You mentioned that the win for Brighton was a bit of a surprise. It's become the norm now.
Brentford, you mean?
Brentford, sorry.
Yeah.
It's become the norm now because they've won on their last 3 trips to Stamford Bridge. Combined score of 8-1. Yeah, this is a team that is used to beating
They are
Chelsea.
dominating at the bridge now.
They are dominating Chelsea at the bridge, which is very surprising. It's not a this season problem. 8-1, combined score of 8-1.
That's crazy. That is actually... Chelsea have scored once against Brentford in the last 3 trips.
In the last 3
Wow.
games at Stamford Bridge.
That's very
When we
interesting.
go back to this game, I think Chelsea were very good in that first half. Very impressive. It dominated the game. And Thomas Frank himself said that they were very average in the first half. The problem with Chelsea, of course, as we saw, they failed to take advantage of their opportunities. Everyone was playing well. The team was passing well. They had chances to score, and they didn't take them.
Yep.
In the second half, Thomas Frank spoke to his players, told them to believe that you can play at Stamford Bridge, believe that you can pass the ball. In the first half, they weren't passing the ball really well. They were losing out on the 50-50 tackles. They were missing easy passes. In the second half, that all changed. The players started stringing 5-yard, 10-yard passes together, eventually grew to long-range passes, and they were getting at the Chelsea defense. In the second half, Chelsea players basically lost their way.
Yeah.
There was no intent, no desire to press the ball, no desire to move into spaces. So there were occasions where Sterling will get the ball on the right, get into a crossing position. There's no one moving into the box. There are occasions where Noni Madueke, who should be working hard to earn his position as a starter,
Noni Madueke looks lifeless.
he was just walking while players were trying to find out someone to pass to. There was a particular moment when the ball went on the right, a cross was about to be made into the box, and Nicholas Jackson, instead of being in between the center backs, was to the side near the crosser instead of being.
Let's have the Chelsea highlights rolling again. I mean, just without the background noise as Edwin speaks over.
Instead of being where a number 9 should be, in between the center backs, where you can take advantage of these cutbacks into the box. He was nowhere near that. And there was no other player running into the box.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fundamental things wrong with Chelsea, and we could list them over and over again. But I feel we've done so many games, so it doesn't change. The problems don't change. Chances creation on point, goal scoring, definitely a problem. And then you let the other team, you lose your concentration, let the other team in, and then they find the goal. And after that, you have to push so many players forward that you leave more spaces at the back for them to take advantage of. Brentford could have won and probably should have won this game by 3-0. They didn't. And it's getting worrying as for Chelsea fans, looking at how good the team is playing 1 week against Arsenal. And then the next week, they step off the pace. Players aren't showing the same level of intensity. And you wonder, is it because Brentford are not your typical big game? Did they show up for the Arsenal
somebody's been
game?
whooping you 8, somebody's put 6 before, and you've only scored 1, and they're coming again, that's enough motivation to wake up. But coach, let me just get your thoughts. First of all, what does Brentford have on Chelsea? Because that's a very terrifying stat line, to have scored just 1 at home and conceded 8 against an opponent. And also, to also take a cue from what he said, you play so well against Arsenal 1 week, the next week you're almost unrecognizable.
These are attributes typical of a team undergoing transition. Consistency, it takes time before consistency becomes the norm. But as for Brentford, they know how to beat Chelsea. And yesterday, Mauricio Pochettino facilitated that.
How?
He facilitated. I think his choice of back line was very wrong.
Had Levy Cole at left back yesterday.
There's absolutely no reason why Disasi should be playing as a right back.
Yeah.
I think that was where the problem is. And that was the fundamental reason why Nicholas Jackson just could not stay in the box, because he knew that Madueke will not cross the ball. Raheem Sterling will also not cross the ball. So for Chelsea to have done any crosses into the box, which he could attack, it requires the laterals, the fullbacks, to go on the overlap. We watched that game for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
There was no day or no second in that game where Disasi, who was playing on the same side as Madueke, knowing very well that Madueke is a left-footed player.
Yeah.
So when the ball gets to him,
He's coming inside.
On. So who was giving him the width?
Nobody.
You needed your fullback, especially when Brentford were always playing 5 across. You needed somebody to help the wingers. Occasionally, Cucurella did that. But again, very typical of him. His delivery into the box would never find.
He got
any
into
Chelsea
a
player.
goal, I thought the best chance of the game, and wasted it.
Came to him when Brentford themselves never thought that should anybody be in the box at that time.
Cole Palmer
It would be the
picked
left
him up.
fullback.
He was
And
coming,
Cole Palmer,
picked him up,
It was
yeah.
diagonal, and all he needed to do was to either
It fell to his right
foot,
to
but
be
he
on-
could have
to-
controlled
to
it
be- yeah.
because there was Nicholas Jackson or Raheem Sterling just going to let them plant the ball into the
Raheem
which
Sterling
he
was
didn't
actually
do.
waiting behind him.
Yes.
If he had communicated, I'm sure
That
he
would
could
have
have
been an
damn
easy
it, left
tackle.
it for him. I don't know.
But look, Chelsea knew this was going to be a difficult game. We did a game on radio,
Yeah.
and I was always very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I said, look,
Close win for Chelsea
very
or a
close
draw.
Or a draw.
Yeah.
And if Brentford were to score first, Chelsea's going to find themselves in big, big trouble. My only worry,
Yeah.
again, for this Chelsea team is that, like I've said, they don't look like a team who will win games from a losing position. They don't. So far, they've thrown away leads.
Yep.
Has time to be corrected. This season, have they come back? Have they been able to do a comeback? Has time to be corrected? I don't think so.
Not that I remember.
Every game they've lost, they've conceded first, and they couldn't rescue it. At least, if you cannot do that,
That was the Burnley game.
I think they came back from the
Yeah,
Burnley game, but
Burnley
we all know what normally will happen to Burnley. They are there for the taking.
Conceding goals in droves.
left, right, center. But if at the bridge,
Yeah.
you play as if you don't have the belief that when you are trailing by a goal to Brentford, you can come back, then there are serious issues. Mauricio Pochettino should not do too much
Tweak it.
tweaking of the team,
Yeah.
tinkering with the team. Look, it is time, yes, there may be injuries, but that thing in the absence of Rich James, it has to be Goldstuff, who should be at right back. In the absence of Chilwell, it has to be what? Kukurea. The back line is not something that you check and change week in, week out as a manager, unless you are forced to do so due to injury or suspension. But if you are maintaining the same goalkeeper, get him to be, he needs to get used to those guys who are going to be playing in front of him. If the next moment is this, then it makes communication very, very difficult. And for me, that was the foundation he didn't get. Because that goal, if Disasi was a true lateral fullback,
should have given
there was no way
yeah.
they would have considered the first goal. Something should have told him that he needed to head the ball away.
Well, as things stand now, Brentford have Chelsea's number. They know how to come to the bridge. They have the formula for beating Chelsea at the bridge. I think all teams should see them now for that formula because really, and they know how to keep it decent at the back as well. Let's get to a game where there was again more free scoring. Arsenal Football Club were up against Sheffield United. Arsenal know how to beat the smaller teams as well. Edin Ketia scored his first Arsenal hat-trick in the process. So it was a good game all around for the Gunners. Edin Ketia was cooking with gas in that game. Even Tomiyasu got in on the action. And then there was no Kai Havertz. He was playing in this game. He was in the game, no assist, no goal. He was literally ghosting in the game, coach.
Yeah.
Havertz is stressing me out.
Look,
this was Sheffield United. This was free scoring.
I really didn't think Arteta should have spent that money on him.
No, but what did they see? What did they do in the background?
I just don't know because he had one of his worst seasons as a Chelsea player. For them, no wonder 60 million. Chelsea saw the money, they took it.
No, and we all said that it was because it was a bad Chelsea team. Chelsea were having a bad run generally, and so it was unfair to judge him.
Just a season before they were winning the Champions League.
This is a free scoring Arsenal team.
So he should be able to fit it. Look, but I think Mikel Arteta is now showing some good maturity in the job. He needed to refreshen his Arsenal team. Yeah. Because who were the boys coming to time? It was what, Sheffield. Everybody's beating them. Yeah. So at the end of the day,
they had played in the Champions League.
They played in the Champions League in midweek, a very difficult game in Spain. Yeah. So they needed to refreshen the team.
True.
And for me, I was happy that he did that. He brought in players like Smith Rowe and co. and gave Edin Ketia a start. Although Gabriel Jesus, who was very fantastic in midweek, was not in the team. And then Arsenal needed to be patient. We did the game on radio. They were very patient because I think the first goal took over 25, close to 28 minutes. Yeah. But they needed to. It was just a matter of that first goal. Moment the first goal went in, it was just a matter of time, the second, third, fourth, and fifth. It could have been more, actually. Could have been more goals in this game, but I think 5 was a decent scoreline. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to do if you're an Arsenal who came very close to winning the league last season. You want to put such games away and make sure, because last season, Arsenal didn't win the league because of games like this. You remember? True. Games against Southampton, games against Everton.
Those are the two pivotal games that
cost them the league title. That got Man City to believe that, come on, we could go over this guy, we could catch them and beat them to it. Yeah. So, but if now such games are being dealt with this level of comfort, then the message is sent to the big guys that this one, it will go down to the wire. And I think it was a very good day at the office for Mikel Arteta.
Good day at the office. I think Ketia has 5 goals this season. He's been doubted by his own fan base over and over again. What will represent a good haul for him this season? And do you think that he has more room to grow to become even better than he is now?
Yeah, in terms of quality, he has a lot of quality. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And Arsenal, especially in recent weeks, he's getting a good run of games. Maybe not starting consistently because Gabriel Jesus is back in the team. But he's had a lot of games to prove his worth. I feel that he needs to start taking these chances. And he did against Sheffield United. If you're not going to score hat-trick against Sheffield United. You are not going to get goals against any other team. So it was good to get amongst the goals. What would be a good haul for him? Looking at the number of games he's playing, looking at the fact that Arsenal are scoring very many goals, looking at the creators he has around him, he should be getting at least 15 in the Premier League.
Double figures.
He should be
between
getting
15 and 20.
Between 15 and 20. He should be hitting that.
That would be elite.
Yeah.
I don't think Gabriel Jesus has not done 20 league goals before.
I think not necessarily in the league, but in all competitions.
All competitions.
As a season, in the season. If
Fair
you
enough.
can get 15 and 18.
Fair enough. That would be elite.
Look, at that rate, Southgate won't look past him if he's looking for a striker. And right now, there's a lot.
Though. Callum Wilson
right
is
now, there's a lot of
every week.
competition.
Harry Kane is scoring from inside his own house.
And the Aston Villa boy,
Oli Watkins.
Watkins is doing
Red hot strikers.
So you need to be at your very best. And he's actually at a club that will enable him to be at his very best. He has creators around him. He's getting games.
Yeah.
They are a free scoring squad, as you mentioned. So this is a chance for him to actually put in the goals. And against teams like Sheffield United, they are going to be tougher tests. But when you meet teams like this, you need to
Make sure you get your numbers.
Make sure you load your boats.
I like that. When you meet teams like Sheffield, definitely get your numbers. Let's take another break here on Scorecard. When we come back, we have that game between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest for you. We have Manchester United taking on Manchester City as well. So there's a lot to break down. We have El Clásico to come. So all the juice is yet to come on Scorecard. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'll read some of your messages as well. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let me read some of your messages that have been coming through so far. Della from Tamale says that the Kotoko versus Bechem match was just awesome. The goals were superb, and it almost looked like Shaolin soccer too. If only the country begins to take the Ghana Premier League seriously, improve our pitches, and design good league structure, the GPL will be irresistible. Evans from Spintex says, tell coach that I really admire his analysis, but I'm disappointed in Chelsea. Today, I wore a Chelsea jersey to evangelism, but I won no soul. I'm not sure what's going on.
Are you serious?
That's just very interesting. Let me get to more messages here. This one here says, good evening, Ben. I'm just waiting to hear what coach will say about United and how they were massacred today. Jonathan Gali from Amasaman Obeyeye. Interesting. It says blue is the color. Joshua from Taifa says, greetings, Ben and everyone. Honestly, Man United's problem is becoming very bad. Our technical team must rise up and fix the problems. We are pleading with them. You must not plead with them. They are earning good money for it, and they must earn their salaries. Joy from Kumasi says, the only cup Man United will win is a disposable cup. I'm not sure what's going on here. Nana Kwame Bennington from America House, Tasty Grill and Bar. It says, I have sat and multiplied, subtracted, and added Black Stars and Accra House of Oaks problems, and it's like the same, especially appointing coaches same way and same results, because House of Oak personnel are the same ones. Okay, I'm not even sure what's going on with that message, but let me read more messages. This one here says, good evening, guys. Accra Hearts of Oak are in shambles. They can't score. Friendly game champions. Man United are not a football club. They are a nightmare. Daniel Adabi from Ayimensa says, when coach is giving you commentary on how Amrabat is going to combine with blah blah and how Onana is going to distribute balls around, you think United has won the league already. I like how he speaks with passion. This one says, big ups to the crew. You guys are the best. God bless you. Or Prince from Frafraha. This one says, Hala Madrid, the best team in the world. What we are going to do is put the Premier League highlights on hold for a while. We want to bring you the very best of the Premier League highlights. So let's take a detour and do El Clásico, and then I'll come back to those two Premier League games that I promised you. So let's go to Spain and let's get to the Jude Bellingham heroics. He was at center stage when Real Madrid took on Barcelona. Let's get the highlight. The Jude Bellingham show, in fact, it's Jude Bellingham's world. We are all just living in it. That's what's going on. 13 games, 13 goals, 3 assists.
He's a proper footballer. Look, I remember when Alex Ferguson when United tried to use that Alex Ferguson figure to lure him into United. At that time, there were two parts of me. One part said, go get him. But one part said, it is only who was the head coach then. He wouldn't have improved him like this. So let the young man go. He went to Dortmund.
Yep.
He's now a big game player.
He's so young. He's what, 20? 21?
He came to Real Madrid. He was asked, which jersey number do you want? He said, give me the one worn by Zinedine Zidane. Those were his words. So give me the one worn by Zinedine Zidane. And then he said, Zidane is my idol. I used to idolize him when he was playing. So give me his number. And since he took that number 5 jersey, he scored 13 in 13. That is how good he's been. Now, when you look at the game itself, truth be told, this game should have been out of reach.
Yep.
Barcelona should have killed this game.
They had multiple chances.
Multiple chances. Took a 1-0 lead. They dominated the first half. In the second half, the early part of the second half, they dominated. Then Carlo Ancelotti did just one change.
Yeah.
He took off the French left back and brought in another French left back, but who is a decoy of a left back, but very combative in midfield. That is Camavinga. Now Camavinga joins the Real Madrid left defense and midfield, and he was doing the sort of things that you want him to do.
I think he's been using that playbook for a while in the Champions League as well.
He
Game
was
not going well.
absolutely brilliant.
Introduces him. He sort of switches between left wing back and defensive midfield.
And he brought the best out of every other Real Madrid player in the middle.
Yeah.
But they had Bellingham, they had Tchouaméni, they
brought Modric on as well.
Yeah, he replaced Cruz. And then they had Valverde. The moment they started dominating Barcelona, Xavi also tactically didn't help his cause. I don't know. The Lewandowski substitution was a premeditated one. It wasn't needed at the time.
And he's been injured for a while.
He's been injured for a while now. So it was like, look, we are going to give you the last 25 minutes. So whether whoever was there was doing well or not, you take him out.
Let's have the highlights roll again, just so you see exactly what Coach is talking about.
Ferran Torres, who was leading the line, he was absolutely brilliant because he was moving a lot. So Rudiger and Alaba couldn't cope with him. He gave them worry. Even when Rudiger and Alaba were in possession, he pressed the ball. But the moment that Ferran Torres Lewandowski change happened, Barca just dropped off, and invited Real Madrid onto them. Before the goal, Ter Stegen made 3 saves. One from Toni Kroos, one from Vinicius Junior, and then the other one, which was a long range from Tchouaméni. The second long range shot
is what ended up
in the middle. Look, credit must be given to Bellingham. The technique. If you're a young player and you are watching, these are the 2 things you learn from that strike, that Bellingham strike. Look at his height. Naturally, if you don't bend over the ball flies up into the sky. So if you look at him again, once the ball was very much placed for him to go for it, he put his laces through the ball, and you could see him bending over the ball. He just
goes slightly over.
The upper part of his body
just goes,
went down like that. That meant that if it's on target, it's going to create problems for the goalkeeper. And technically too, Ter Stegen could have done better. I think he went with the wrong hand. He could have rather done this. That would have given him enough range to get to the ball and then palm it away.
I think the shot even caught him off guard.
Yes, maybe. There was a defender standing. Maybe he didn't see the ball. He saw it very late. But having said, look, Real Madrid, we all said, I did say that they win the game because they were going to the game, the team on form, the team playing well, dominating the La Liga. And this game was not the usual Clásico that we've come to.
It wasn't even played at the Camp Nou.
It wasn't played at the Camp Nou. So there were so many things taken out. But look, the game reminded everybody that a Clásico is a Clásico. 1 or 2 players will stand up to be counted. And yesterday, take it or leave it. It was that English boy.
Bellingham.
The English boy.
Edwin.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Bellingham. one thing that impresses me the most is his movement. One moment he's on the left, the next moment he's in the box, the next moment he's outside the box. He's one player who can play in different positions, but he's one player who is willing to make those runs.
Yeah.
He's not stationary.
His positioning has been exceptional.
It's been fantastic.
Look, and the second goal epitomizes exactly what he's saying. No, it is not every player. Look, if you look at that second goal again, he was outside of the box. But the moment the ball went wide, and that is the coaching.
Quickly makes the run.
Get into the box because you are that good.
And you could tell that he's gained the respect of not just his teammates, but the opponents as well. You saw Javi's reaction after the goal. He was like, well, if it's
Bellingham,
anyone, if it had to be anyone, obviously it had to be.
But I think his reaction actually was, what I read from that was the fact that they had spoken about that. They highlighted his arrival into the box.
And they didn't pick him up.
At every time he should be picked up. That was why he was like, come on, man, we've spoken about these things.
Yeah.
And what a way to score your first El Clásico goal.
Yeah.
What a shot.
And I think I like the fact that you're harping on that because, look, El Clásico is a tension-laden game.
It is not meant for anybody else.
The faint-hearted.
Even for the superstars, they feel it when they step. But if you watch his demeanor, how he celebrated his goals, how he took the goal, it looks like, he's been playing like all his life.
His first half was very poor. Gavi, the young Spanish
was running circles around,
dominated him. And you could clearly see that when he came out in the second half, Ancelotti might have highlighted he and Gavi.
Yeah.
Look at your height and that boy height.
And allowing him to dominate.
Allowing him to come and go impose yourself better.
Ancelotti is such an interesting manager. Yes. There's a picture where he's dragging Vinicius off the pitch. Vinicius was trying to waste time at a point and he was dragging him off the pitch. I'm not sure what that's all about, but Carlo has seen it all as far as the Clásicos. It was a good victory for Real Madrid. Let's do back-to-back highlights like I promised you. Let's get back to the Premier League. Two really good games that happened. Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Man United, Manchester City. Back-to-back highlights. We'll come back in studio and discuss. Let's start off from that United game, 3-0. Not very difficult goals. The goals look very rehearsed for Manchester City.
Yeah, of course. It was never in doubt. Not even the goal. The result was never in doubt. Because at the end of the day, this Manchester United team epitomizes what the owners are all about. Look, the Glazers, that is why somebody like me, I have delightfully and wholeheartedly relinquished them. That these people don't kill me. You are not taking no kill. They go and let me have my peace.
I can't believe this.
I'm telling you honestly. You see, look.
Oh, man.
You came from your worst season in history of the Premier League.
Yeah.
You brought a manager who did extremely well. To every United supporter who thinks that Ten Hag is the problem, then I don't know what you are thinking about. Because this manager, if you were told that Ten Hag would do that well, he did
in his first
last season, nobody would have believed that. Now, what did the Glazers needed to do? They needed to back this manager, back him beyond every reasonable doubt. He said, the manager gave 9 players out. He said, look, sell these 9 players and bring me at least 6 in. Sell Fred, sell McTominay, sell Maguire, sell Anthony Martial, sell Jadon Sancho. On top of my sell Van der Beek. I've forgotten the other 9 players, sell them. How many of them got sold? Only Fred. Only Fred. Then he said, bring me Kim Min-jae, who had a release clause of 45 million euros. United couldn't afford that. Go to Daniel Levy, get Harry Kane. Sell Martial, use Martial's money to bring in Rasmus Højlund. He's 20 years. He's the future of the team. He cannot be made to carry the burden. Let Harry Kane tutor him for the next 2 years. The one you hand over the baton to him, he knows how to go about it. This manager was not backed. Bring me Amrabat. Amrabat came on the last day. That is what the Glazers is all about.
Is that why they are losing 3-0?
I'm coming. They don't care. Now, you cannot cry over spilt milk. The injury situation has compelled this manager to play certain players that he wouldn't have played in a big game like this. But Manchester United should not be crying over players who are not present. You understand what I'm saying? How on earth? Today, I think about 10 years ago, no, Alex Ferguson retired 13 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, I think about 14 years ago, Man City beat United 6-1.
Yeah.
14 years after, Johnny Evans, who played in that 6-1 game, finds himself at the age of 37.
You know, that's
a
serious.
retired Johnny Evans.
That's serious.
Is the one partnering Harry the Zuku Maguire. No more.
Don't talk about my captain like that.
Forget about
Capito,
it.
Capito
We
has
all
been,
saw him today.
Capito has been an
We
inspired.
all saw him
captain.
today.
When the system is weak, you will be exposed.
Me, he's not my captain, so me, I'm talking what I can
Our
talk. I'm
captain.
analyzing the game. Look at that defensive line.
Yeah.
Today, but for Onana, it should have
this
been a
would have been
minimum
5-6
of 7.
nil.
No, 7. A minimum of 7. Oboshi. A minimum of 7.
I was about to ask what 7 was.
Oboshi. A minimum of 7. If you look at the game today,
Yeah.
look, Ericsson in midfield. Yes, Edwin, we did the game. I was there. They were doing
Yeah.
the game, but I sat back watching the game. The moment Amrabat got that yellow card, we all agreed that, look, it was game over. Because if you look at the work Amrabat was doing, he was not necessarily controlling the game because Ericsson will not win any ball off anybody. And McTominay too tactically was just interested in joining the attack. You don't play football like that if you are playing against a team so obsessed with possessing the ball.
Yeah.
You need to keep players in their possession. So on this one, I blame every Ten Hag. The game plan couldn't have been that you need to go at them. It was transitional. If
Yeah.
you're going to play a transitional game, you need to keep players in their position, get them to work, and get the transition to present itself. But McTominay's starting position in midfield along Ericsson and Amrabat today was always wrong. So the moment the natural ball winner in the middle of the pack got booked and therefore was not brought back in that second half, because there was clearly, if Amrabat had lasted, he would have gotten a second yellow card and be sent off. Everything just went from bad to worse. Look, have you ever seen Pep Guardiola requesting or telling the board of Man City, give me this player, and they have refused? Every player he's gone for, but for Harry Kane, because Daniel Levy at the time say, I will not sell. It's not by force.
Yeah.
But every player Pep has requested for, he's been given. Like I said, wherever there is Pep Guardiola, there is absolute joy. Wherever there is the Glazers and the so-called Sir Jim Ratcliffe, there is absolute disaster and sorrow. Me, I don't want to be part of that
joy.
pain and that sorrow. No more. I have politely and gently decided to save my life and move on. I need to stay longer. I need to stay
For your
up to
beautiful
90
daughters.
years. 90 years minimum. These people, they will kill me. I don't want them to kill me.
Let me take Edwin's thoughts. Edwin, thoughts on this game and then the Liverpool game as well. Snap thoughts before we go.
Look, for this game, coach has mentioned that they lost the game once the yellow card was given to Amrabat.
That was it.
And Mason Mount came on in the second half right for Amrabat. And Ten Hag admitted it. They lost any modicum of control that they had from the first half. After that, City just took over, passing the ball around wherever they wanted, attacking whenever they wanted. They didn't meet any sort of resistance
At all.
from United. And you have to look at that second goal that Man City scored.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes loses the ball, and then it just spreads panic all over
the place.
Everyone is running everywhere. City calmly pass it to the goalkeeper, to defender, to midfielder, spread the plate back to the left-hand side.
Yep.
And then the United players are chasing the ball.
Maguire is all over the centre
No
back.
one
There was
knows
somebody
who to-
marking it. He left Haaland. Just running anywhere at all.
So the ball gets to Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
And Haaland, who is the most dangerous striker on earth
alone by
presently, is left alone on the far end to head home easily.
It happened at least twice.
It happened twice.
Look, but for Nana, he would have been 7. 7.
And it's disturbing to see United go through this phase, because I personally feel they have a lot of quality players, regardless of who they might have missed
It's
out
not
on
going
in
to
the
get
summer.
better. It will get worse and worse and worse.
That's it from me. Let me read a few messages to close out the show today. This one here from Jesse in Achimota says, it's Rashford lying in green pastures for me. I think United should frame that picture. Coach, I see you leave to Barcelona. This one is from Tropa from Dansoman. Says, I want to talk to Coach about Ten Hag's tactics today, but I think he got it wrong. Kojo Draxler from Tema says, what's Coach saying about their loss to City? He says he's not part of Dia again. So
Don't be saying Dia.
Say what is Coach saying about Man United's loss. So yes, that's how you should be talking. Sterling from Nungwa says, I want to thank you for the show and the commitment you and the team put into it. Really grateful. Big ups, keep watching. He says, just so you know, United need deliverance. Standout performances were from Onana, Maguire and Højlund. However, the team as a whole needs deliverance, and as Gary Neville said, the club needs a whole revamp.
Look, there has to be a whole reset from the Glazers. They should all leave. That is the only way.
We'll see if this reset will indeed materialize. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you very much, Coach Christopher Nimley. Thank you guys who sent in messages to the show. Same time next week, Scorecard will be back on your screens.